Hey guys, Brian Wilson here, Força Martial Arts, Russellville, Arkansas, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu black belt, martial arts academy owner, and just wanted to share with you guys an experience that I've had and I'm still going through really, where I had a shoulder injury pop up, just kind of out of nowhere. So kind of started having some pain and then full-blown injury. And what that was a torn labrum, or a labral tear, a slap tear as it's also called. And it's kind of scary. I've been through a hernia repair and have had tweaks, different issues, LCL, different things over the years. Obviously, almost 15 years into doing jiu-jitsu, owning a school, training, competing, having fought, like it makes sense, okay? But I am too in a phase of my life where I'm 34, doing a lot more investing in my health and exercising. I noticed actually at the fitness center that something was wrong with my shoulder, right? Like, okay, what's the deal here? Just work through it. And, should have investigated further at that point. I knew something was wrong. I persisted with doing overhead exercises and exercises for my larger muscle groups and in my shoulders. And I do believe that kind of led to the furthering of the issue. Now, in my shoulder, it was in a weakened state. Doing some rolling, got caught in a couple of different situations, and then one time, Kimura Americanas, particularly the one from half guard, right? It can really isolate that labrum the way the weight is on you and lifting you up. So, and I'd had a broken AC joint before, right? So I'm like, okay, I must have a torn rotator cuff, maybe it's partial tear. Like, oh, but it hurts in the front too. Is it my bicep tendon? Is it a labral tear? Like, I remember thinking it was a labral tear first before I ever even went to the ortho. I just did some research and I'm like, man, that sounds like my problem is a labral tear. So, I just waited around. I did not go in to see the doctor soon enough. I made some mistakes. I'm going to share those with you. And also, if you're watching this, did another video over just training equipment you'll need to kind of rehab from this, and then a series of videos over different sets with some things I did. I'll cover that I picked up from going through physical therapy for 3 months. So I had some learning to do. I learned that I should have went in. I should not have waited. When I did go in, I was like, well, I'm done. Like, I'd had some issue where I was just showing getting out of a darth, and anything across the body, I'm starting to get it back. I could not do this stretch. I deteriorated. But I remember saying a darth choke kind of comes under. I do this one where if I'm laying down on the mat where I go like this and get out, and just with that little bit of resistance, I think what happened was my shoulder completely tore, right? Or the labrum went ahead and finished tearing. I think it had a partial tear. And talk to the doctor about things yeah, probably, you felt the moment. But then there's this other instance where a couple of submissions and it just deteriorated, right? I waited around. By the time I went to the doctor, I was like, oh, it's time for surgery, time to go to the doctor. Mistake, okay? With the hernia repair, I had to go get surgery. It's pretty much the only option. Could have got some different, could have taken a different route with some of the surgery, but it was pretty much hey, you got to get that repaired, and it's going to be an issue if you don't. So I did, and there wasn't a lot of choice there. Okay, with this, you can recover from it. It's common as an injury, and it's common to recover from. So torn labrum, it's a big deal. If you treat it like an injury, if you're serious about it, it's not that big of a deal, okay? So pass that on to you. Learn from my mistakes. When something's wrong with your body. Stop being stubborn. I'm a 34-year-old stubborn person. I did not go to the doctor, and I should have, okay? And then, two black belts here, one being my wife, the other being my mentor from when I was getting my graduate degree in history, Jeff Woods, black belt here, teaches. He's the doctor's like, dude, don't do anything. Just do the PT. Don't do anything overhead, right? You avoid too much of this. Do what the physical therapist tells you, and you need to take it easy. And then they kind of talk shit to me like, oh, he's not going to do that. He never does that. But I did. I did not roll for 3 months, and it sucked, right? And then I slowly started coming back. Now I did roll somewhat recently, just a few weeks out of physical therapy, about 3 weeks now, and man, my shoulder was sore. My whole body was sore. But I got like 13 5-minute rounds in a big open mat, a bunch of friends in. It was great. Okay, but I was sore for 3 days just in my shoulder, like pretty intense soreness, and so I've been able to come back. I'm like back to rolling, but I did have to take that time. Okay, and when I took that time, I wasn't rolling. I was investing in strengthening that shoulder joint back up, because like one of the symptoms was I had subluxation, right? If the shoulder itself, the joint was loose, like almost feeling like it was going to dislocate. And it was like that, and I'm like, oh, gotta have surgery, go in. I made some other mistakes too, right? I waited too long. That was a mistake. Then too, I was going to see, like, I had a lot of neck pain that's symptomatic of a labrum tear, and I was like, okay, well, I see a guy for my neck. He's a chiropractor, and he does make my neck feel better. I need to go back and see him, right? But I was like thinking, I did some laser treatments. I did some other things. I was thinking like, okay, well, it could be my neck, like, or something, like what's going on here? Like I feel a lot of pain in my neck on this side too, and then the top of my shoulder, but this also. So I tried chiropractic care, some strengthening on my own, just like had done a little bit of research. Is it a labral tear? Still was uncertain, was seeking different treatment. Just go see the doctor, go see your GP, go see your ortho. I got a referral and an appointment booked with an orthopedic and a shoulder specialist. He checked it out, and almost immediately, like, moved my arm around, did some tests, and he did this one at one point. I was like, oh, right? Hey. Then he's like, oh, okay. Kind of put me in like this Americana motion, and like where I kind of have a little bit of clicking there. Now it's not bad, but it's much better than it was, and it's getting better. And he's like, yep, labrum tear. You get a torn labrum and slap tear. Here's what And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of thought it was a labrum tear. I just didn't know what to do, and I wasn't sure because I didn't go to medical school like you, So then he busts out the cortisone shot. And I freaking hate needles. Like, I'd rather get punched in the face or anything than someone give me a puncture wound with a needle, right? I had allergy shots when I was a kid. I do not like that shit. I don't pass out, but I'm just like, I cannot look at it, okay? It just bothers me. I say what you want, we'll fight about it. But he gave me a cortisone shot, and damn, almost immediately my shoulder started feeling amazing. What it did, and like I've talked to a bunch of different people who had cortisone shots, less so in their shoulder, but like that subluxation I had in my shoulder started tightening, right? So I was very happy about that, but then it started catching. It was like it would catch in the socket. It's just the best way I can describe it. I talked to my PT about this, talked to the ortho about it, and it's, like as my shoulder was tightening back up, it's way tighter now, right? It would catch periodically. Now, I just, again, I waited too long to go in. I've seen a chiropractor, getting laser treatments, kept training through it, was rolling, drilling, all mistakes. Go see the PT, get the cortisone shot, get on the road to a recovery plan. That was key, okay? So I remember going in to physical therapy, to a place here in town. It was a place I chose. I knew from years of living around here, like, this is a place I want to go, right? There's Lane, physical therapy, Cameron Lane, worked with me and had a lot of great therapists in there as well, and would recommend it to anybody here local that is watching this, right? So went in, and I remember they put me through a warm-up process on the arm bike, right? Now that I'm doing all these exercises here at the gym, I will, or if I'm doing it at my fitness center too, I'll do like a 10-minute elliptical, because I don't have an arm bike, I don't have one either. But just anything, like I do some warm-up exercises on the wall and body weight, even walking a mile, just do something to get warmed up, right? Do a little calisthenics. And when I'm at the fitness center again, I'll do like an elliptical, okay? So I go through and get warmed up. I get on this arm bike, right? I'm doing this, listen to my audiobook, and it would catch, right? I remember the first day I sat on that arm bike, it caught like a dozen times in 10 minutes, right? And you do 5 minutes forward, 5 minutes backwards, you catch both ways. Then I did this thing called BFR, blood flow restriction. It's basically a blood pressure cuff they put on your right below your shoulder joint, like right up under your arm, and air it up, right? And it isolates that blood flow, restricts it, and just isolates that joint. So for didn't do these until my second 6 weeks. I didn't do anything even remotely overhead until I'd been all the way through 6 weeks, gone back to the doctor, and he kept me in PT because I still had a lot of pain and catching, right? But when I was doing this BFR, I'd do one just like a front raise, right? A side raise. I would just do one shoulder. Like now I'm doing all these on both shoulders. It's crazy how much on some of these exercises I did. I was just doing one with the band earlier that my bad shoulder is stronger in some ways. Cause they just have you do one shoulder. I think that's, I don't want to say a mistake. They're the professionals. They know way more about it than I do. But I'm like, hey, I don't like not being symmetrical, right? I'm really taxing this shoulder, and I noticed it getting leaner and stronger, and this was just kind of getting left behind. Now I'm out on my own. Even a little before that, I started doing a third day, even when I was in PT, that second 6 weeks where I started doing both shoulders. And now I do all these exercises on both sides, okay? Now, some of them they had me do both, but like the dumbbell exercises, they just had me doing one arm, okay? So I do both shoulders now, but man, I would notice this 1 pound weight doing this, it would catch, like it made me like it sucked. Like there's nothing positive about the way it felt or anything. So, I went from like just 1 pound weight and it catching all the time. Then they bumped me up to 3 pound weights and it was catching less, and then up to 5 just on that BFR. Right, it was something I would do every time. Even when they changed my protocol up, I was still doing the BFR. They just added some exercises, so it started catching less. And I remember 5 weeks in to PT, I'd finished my 5th week, and I was like, I'm gonna have to have surgery. Like, I knew it this whole time. But then I had like an appointment that Thursday or Friday or something, end of the week, to go see my ortho for a follow-up, right? And she was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, well, everything I just told you guys on the video, like it was really sucking, it's catching, it's 1 pound weight, and it hurts all the time, and it catches when, but I'm sleeping a little better after that cortisone shot, and and then too, this last week, this 7th week, it hasn't hurt it like almost at all. It's crazy. Like I kind of was like, not frustrated, but it had been like the week before, like just like, oh my God, it's not improved. Like it still hurts. Like it would catch, like doing things like washing my hair, putting shirts on, put my gi top on, but then like I hit a spurt after 6 weeks of working it and building it, like where I was about to go see the ortho, and it was doing that so much less, and I was like, yeah, it was really hurting all the way up until this week, and that now it's feeling better. And she kind of checked me out, and like one of the exercises I cover in the dumbbell videos, she was, pushing down on my hand out at this 45-degree angle, checking different. She's like, okay, well, let's check this side, you strengthen this more, really focus on that one. And, she's like, with everything you're telling me, I'm real happy about progress you're making. I'm not going to give you another cortisone shot. We may do that in 6 weeks. We didn't end up having to. It gradually improved. Week after week, week, 10 days, I would see improvements, catching less, more flexibility, can do more stuff, right? And I went back and they had said like, hey, probably gonna give you a cortisone shot when you come back, and we think that'll do it. And we think you can just go out on your own. I went back to like, hey, we don't want to do another shot. You're recovering. And they even told me this at 6 weeks. They're like, look, and this is kind of the whole reason to put this content out for you guys. Like, look, you're going to have to work this. Once you get out of PT, you're going to do another 6 weeks at that, checkup. You're going to have to keep working it, right? So when I went back into PT and went back for the second follow-up, it's like, okay, don't ever stop strengthening your shoulder. You can't. You're going to need to stay on this after you get released from physical therapy. And I think that's been pivotal. And in here doing my exercises today, did some 2 days ago. I usually do Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. And, just like that, my ortho said that on my last visit a few weeks ago. It's like, hey, don't stop. Don't ever stop, right? Had I been doing some of these exercises, like being a jiu-jitsu person, isolating these tiny muscles in my shoulder, knowing that people who do jiu-jitsu have some issues with their shoulders occasionally, having had a torn AC separation, grade 2, I should have been doing this stuff already before I was 33, 34 years old. You learn, right? And this has been a fantastic learning experience for me. I was telling people just going through the PT, yeah, it costs money, it's expensive, whatever, like, big deal. It's your health, and it was educational. It was a very educational experience. When I was doing PT, aside from the improvements and the warm up, things they would have me do: dumbbell sets, blood flow restriction, different band exercises with 2 bands, 1 band, the rectangular bands that aren't connected. The tubular bands would be the single and doubles. Just different exercises with bands, and then a whole set of exercises with weighted and unweighted balls, and some body weight exercises. Right now, pretty much everything I've done from PT and some things I've picked up from friends of mine. I've got a good friend of mine that has had 2 labral tears. Yeah, right. And he has a little different limitations than me, and did a little different recovery therapy. I've traded some exercises with him, added some exercises with the pull-up bands, and started, just did a lot of research about labral tears, looked into articles, different physical therapists that have put out, vlogs or whatever. And, have put together a video for you guys on sort of each part of my regimen: the dumbbells, the bands, the different kinds of bands, the balls, the body weight exercises, the stretching. And hopefully, if you have a torn labrum, whether you do jiu-jitsu or not, these things help you. Again, I didn't do a ton of research. I found a couple of my friends, one had had surgery, one didn't, that had issues with the labrum, bicep tendon, rotator cuff. And just like my PT told me when I went in for the 6-week checkup, after 6 weeks of PT, before I went back in, it's like, hey, I know I had this client and they're older than you, they're about 40, but it took 10 months to recover, right? I talked to another guy, this guy knew, that didn't have to have surgery, said a year, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I could kind of see that, right? 3 months, I still got some pain, still improving, going into my 4th month. And I think, based off of everything I've learned, talking to orthopedic surgeons in person, talking to physical therapists in person, seeing what orthos and PTs are putting online, talking to people that have had these types of injuries and overcome them, or even people that didn't, right? That was almost me. Again, mistakes. Don't wait to go in. I waited too long. I knew I was gonna have to have surgery. I went in, and here I am recovering, okay? So, do your homework. I think that's vitally important. And guys, it's your health. Think about this for a second, right? We have a very large gym, over 300 members, one of the largest gyms in our state, like right there at the top. And I teach mostly adults, 1 kid's class, but like right now, it's summer, I'm off from teaching at the university. Got some people on vacation, man. I'm teaching morning jiu-jitsu, noon jiu-jitsu, all the evening martial arts classes for adults: jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing. And who's gonna do all that if I am injured because I was stubborn and just didn't do the due diligence? I'm like, that may happen. I had my hernia repair. That there's just like, well, yeah, this is it. I can't even walk. I could not stand up straight. It was just like this for weeks. So, and we were much smaller then. This was 2 locations ago when I had my hernia repair, before we even bought our own location, right? And the scale we are now, in the age that I am now, I think it's so important that I learned from this stuff, and if you're watching, you do too. If you know when something's wrong with your body, you know when you might have an injury. Nobody likes going to the doctor. Nobody likes getting a freaking puncture wound with this huge needle jammed into your shoulder. But it did make me feel better, even though it sucked. But nobody likes that shit. Okay, I don't like it either. Okay, but I'm also a person that, like, you show me a better way to do something, I'm probably not going to argue with you about it. I can admit that I'm not an orthopedic surgeon, physical therapist, massage therapist, chiropractor, any of that. I don't know, right? I'm a history guy. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. And just because of being a jiu-jitsu guy, I've learned a fair amount about the human body, and of realizing as I age how important it is to invest in recovery, invest in maintaining my body and my wellness overall, doing stupid shit like walking all the time, just because, it's freaking good for you. Do it, right? Walk 5 miles this week. And it's important to invest in your wellness, right? Because you know what? Nobody's going to do your job for you. I might con George or somebody into teaching some classes while I recover from a surgery, but it's not something I want to have to rely on. And I definitely don't want to have to lean on my people, my assistants, my friends, my people that are in this with me, they're on my team or my support. I want to lean on them because I was stubborn, right? Because I was making mistakes. So that's that. Again, hopefully somebody that is in martial arts watches this. If you're not and you have a torn labrum, again, I think you can take some important things away from this video. Now, check out, I have a video where we overview, I go over all of the different items I'm using here at the gym or at the fitness center for my recovery exercises. Watch those, okay? I will link them in the description of the different videos, okay? Got one, it's several, like half a dozen, okay? They're voiceover narrated. So I did one where I just kind of broke down, like, here's the stuff I'm using, bands, dumbbells, all the stuff I talked about here, kind of talked about some of the process and that I'd gone through, but not as in detail as in this one. This is kind of just all about the injury and the process and the learning. And then just individual videos over all the different exercises, okay? So, you got several different videos to watch. Outside of that, appreciate you watching this video, appreciate you watching our content. If you would, please subscribe. Help us grow outwardly is kind of what I've been saying. Like we put out a ton of content. Our members really appreciate and enjoy what we do. Get a lot of great traction there, but help this video reach somebody that could benefit. I could have benefited from knowing all this stuff that I put out in these different videos. And maybe they're out there and I just didn't find them because they didn't do their keywords and titles and descriptions in YouTube. I don't know. Maybe I didn't either, right? But, it helps somebody find this video. Share it, subscribe, ring the bell. We do videos like this. We do videos on boxing, kickboxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, self-defense, fitness, recovery, wellness, whatever, right? So go ahead and give us a subscribe and ring the bell, and we greatly appreciate that, okay? Thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a great day.